Okay, welcome everyone. A good davach as we learned for Eliezer ben Razel. Should have a refuah shalem b'tzei shechel Yisrael. We are holding two lines from the bottom of Tzadik Chesed Beis, and the Gemara now is going to interpret two more ways that we said that Gid Anosha is an exception to the normal rule. Not Gid Anosha, Zroa B'Shela, the cooked foreleg of the ram of the Nazir, where we said that even though you give the foreleg to the Kayin, when they're cooked together, and you're not allowed to eat it, when they're cooked together, you're allowed to eat the rest of the animal. And we said that that's an exception. So
does the Gemara ever discuss...
To what rule... Let me start. To what rule is it an exception to? I'll get back to you, Idalia. So... Two lines from the bottom of Tzadik Chesed Beis. Rava Amar Lo Nitzricha El Letam K'Ikar. The din that taste is the same as the essence of the Isser. The B'kachim Aser. Normally, if it has the taste, it's Aser. Kamash Mlan Dahacha, that although the rest of the ram of the Nazir has the taste of the foreleg, and over here it's shari. Says the Gemara, V'ligma mina, minei, why don't we learn it out to everywhere else? Says the Gemara, Shaliman, please mute yourself. Says the Gemara, because we know that by a chatas, koli rachmana gabe chatas, kol asher yiga b'besara yikdash. Anything else that touches its flesh when it's hot becomes like it. Liyois kamoya, she'im psula, if it's a chatas that was puzzled, say you shechted it shaloi l'shma, tipasal. Then that which comes in contact with it is possible. Vim kisheira, let's say the flesh of a shlamim. Let's say the flesh of a shlamim touches it. So then, vim kisheira teichel kechameshibah. So although the shlamim would usually be able to be eaten for 2 days and 1 night, since it absorbed from the chatas, it could only be eaten for 1 day and 1 night. So we see that everywhere else we say tam ke'ikar. So the Gemara says, "Omay chazis de gamrina mehaich." Why do we make the chatas the poster child and say tam ke'ikar is aser? Ligma mahai. Why don't we learn out from the Zroya B'Shela that tam ke'ikar is mutter? Says the Gemara, like we explained, chidushu. The fact that we're allowed to cook the rest of the animal together with the forbidden foreleg and bevatel issa l'chatchila is a novelty. And we don't learn out from a novelty, but we said that we learn out from there either bittul b'shishim or bittul b'meya. Yachi l'meya b'shishim nami loy ligmar. Says the Gemara, that's different because atanan l'kula gamrinan. When we learn out 60 times or 100 times from the Zroya B'Shela, are we learning out a leniency? We're learning out a stringency because midaraisa it should be batal b'rayv. The midaraisa beruba batal. You don't need shishim or 100 to learn out a stringency. You can learn that out from a chiddush. Ravina says that the exception of the Zroya B'Shela is lo nitzurcha el makom chetach, for the place of the cut. Usually the place of the cut is forbidden. Like we said, if a fetus sticks out a limb, and you cut off the limb which is forbidden, the place of the cut is also forbidden. The amar makom chetach ba'alma aser, v'hacha, when you cut away the right foreleg and give it to the kayin, the place of the cut is shari, is permitted. Okay, now before we start the next sugya, Gedalia, what did you want to ask me?
Where do we find anything about the El Nazar that he's allowed to eat it? The Gemara just assumes that you're allowed to eat it?
Of course. The rest of the animal is a regular shlamim. A regular shlamim you're allowed to eat. Now, Yosef Ravdimi, the Ka'amallah Lahoshmaitz, Ravdimi was sitting and saying over that there's an opinion that some things are batal b'shishim, while there's an opinion that it's batal b'meya. Amalei Abaya, so Abaya says, V'kol Yisurin sheb'Torah b'meya? Can all Yisurin in the Torah be neutralized by 100? V'tanan, so now we learn teaching about truma that gets mixed up with chulin. Now Yitzi is a kohen, but all of us, if truma gets mixed up with chulin, it's a problem. So lama amru kol hamechametz, that any truma dough that causes, any truma sourdough that causes chulin dough to ferment, or metavel, or spices it, or medamea gets mixed in it, lahachmir, we go lechumra when it comes to a question of neutralization by minu minai, where it's the same type that gets mixed up. Lahakelu lahachmir, we are lenient and stringent by min v'she'enai minai, when it's two different types, like we'll see beans and lentils. And now we're going to elaborate first on the different type. V'ketani seifa, what's lahakelu lahachmer? What's the leniency and the stringency? By min v'she'enai minai, where it's the type and a different type. Ketzad, what's an example? Grisen, beans. Shenizbashlu ima adoshim. So let's say beans of truma that are cooked with lentils of chulin. So that's min b'she'ena minai. Im yesh ben b'noisin tam. If it imparts the flavor, then it makes no difference. Bein yesh bem lalas b'mei v'echad, bein ein bem lalas b'mei v'echad. Whether it's 101 more or not, aser. If it gives up a flavor, it's aser. Ein b'hem b'noisin tam. If it doesn't impart a flavor, bein sheyesh bem lahalos b'mei, whether there's 100 v'echad, bein ein bem lahalos b'mei v'echad, there isn't 101 mutter. So it says even if it's not 101, it's mutter. Doesn't that mean it's mutter even by shishim? So how could you say you need 100? Here you see that 60 is enough. So the Gemara says, no. B'meya. It means whether you have 101, whether you have 100. Says the Gemara, since when it's talking about min b'mina, it's talking about 100, then Seifa by min b'she'ena mina must be more lenient, and it must be talking about b'shishin. The Ketani Reisha lahachmir min uminai with the same type ketzad sa'ar shel chitin, sourdough of chitin, shenafel le'isas chitin, sourdough of chitin of truma that falls into a dough of truma, v'yesh by kedei l'chametz, and there's enough to cause it to ferment, then bein sheyesh by kedei la'alas b'mei ve'echad, bein ein by kedei la'alas b'mei ve'echad, whether it's 100, if there is 101 or not, since it caused it to ferment, it's aser. Ein by la'alas b'mei ve'echad. If you don't have 101, bein sheyesh by kedei l'chametz, bein ein by kedei l'chametz, whether there's enough to ferment or not, aser, which implies, but if you have 100 of heter to 1 of iser, and it doesn't have enough to ferment, it would be permitted. So Reisha v'Seifa b'meya, the Reish and the Seifa both permit b'meya, but we said there's a difference between min b'shmina and min b'she'ena mina. Says Gemara, loy Reisha b'meya v'chad. By the Reisha, you need to have 101 of heter to the 1 of iser. By the Seifa, you only need to have 100 to 1. The Seifa b'meya, but not b'shishim. You can't extrapolate. But if it's 60, it's permitted. No. But if you don't have by min b'she'ena minai 100 to 1, it's aser. If you have 100 to 1, it's mutter. By min b'minai, if there is she'ein by kedei l'chametz, if there's not enough to ferment, so there you need to have 101 in order to be mevatel. It's 101 of heter. Says the Gemara, v'chi yesh by kedei l'chametz, if there is enough to ferment, it's aser even b'meya v'chad. B'meya v'chad amay loy batel. Isn't 101 of heter enough to neutralize it? Ishtik, he was quiet. So Amalei, he says, no, there's certain things that are so strong that you need even more. Dilmashani sa'ar, sourdough, the chimutza kasha, its fermentation is very strong, and 101 is not enough. So he says, you're right. You remind me about the brine of a tummy dick of fish. Amalei, at Karasan Milsa, the Amar Reb Yosef Reb Chanina. You reminded me about something that Reb Yosef Reb Chanina said. Loi kol hashiyurin shavin. Not all amounts are the same. Sharit sir, the brine of a tummy dick of fish, which is extremely pungent. Shi'urayv karel of a masayim. Its share is close to 200. We'll see that in order to be mevatel, you need 192 shel heter. The Tanan, dog tomei, a non-kosher fish, sir uray aser, its brine is aser. Reb Yehuda says the amount to be mevatel is revius b'sasayim, a quarter of a lug in 2 sa, which is 192 to 1. So the Gemara says, but if you have 192 to 1, you can be mevatel. But Rabbi Yehuda holds min b'minay ain't a batel. V'amar Rabbi Yehuda min b'minay loy batel. In the same type, it's not batel at all. Says the Gemara, brine is different because brine is only the sweat of the fish. And therefore, since it's only the sweat of the fish, you couldn't be makel to neutralize it. Shani tzir the zeya ba'almahu, and therefore, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, you can neutralize it if you have 192 to 1. But you see that sometimes something is so strong that even 101 will not be enough. So he said, Kates and Misharinon, if the gid gets mixed up with the rest of the thigh, how do you know if it will impart flavor? After all, they're the same type. So we said that we view it as if it's meat mixed with turnips. Like meat mixed with the turnip tops, which is stronger. So therefore, in order to impart the flavor, you need to have more iser in order to impart the flavor, because the turnip tops has a sharp flavor. Now that which our Mishnah says, that if you cook the gid anosha with the rest of the thigh, it asses it with its taste. Masnisin doloi kaitana. The Mishnah is not like the following Tana. The Tanya Rabbi Shmuel ben Oisha Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika Eimer ein begidin b'naisin tam. That sinews don't have taste. And if they don't have taste, they can't aser something else. How the also the coming to Rabbi Chanina? He cooked the gid anosha with the rest of the thigh. Have a Yosef Rabbi Yehuda bar Zvina above. Yehuda bar Zvina was sitting outside the door. Kinofik, when he came out, Amalei my Amalach, what did he tell you? Amalei Shayin Hale, he permits me to eat the rest of the thigh, to be kailef the oichel, to peel until you get up to the gid. Amalei, so he said to him, Hodr Ailul Kamei, go back in and ask him again. Make sure he understood what you were asking him. So this man went back in. So Reb Chanina asked him, Omar man hayde kamet tzarli. Who's outside that's distressing me? Zil Aimale Laman de Yosef Abava, tell the one who's sitting by the door, Ain begidim b'naisin tam. There's no taste in the gidin, and therefore it can't answer the thigh. Ki also the comment Rabbi Ami, when somebody came before Rabbi Ami and asked him a shaila, it's interesting. A Rav could send a person to someone who knows he's mekel. He also came to Rabbi Ami, when he came before Rabbi Ami with such a shaila, Mishadu lekamei de Rabbi Yitzchak ben Cholov, he would send him to Rabbi Yitzchak ben Cholov, the Mori Balaheter. In the name Mishim de Rabbi Shub Levi, in the name of the great Rabbi Shub Levi, v'leiloi svirulei. He didn't hold of the heter that ain begin v'naisin tam. However, v'hilchasa ain begin v'naisin tam. There is no taste in the sinew of the thigh, and therefore if you cook it with the rest of the thigh, it doesn't make it aser. Wow. Ready to learn to daf. Unbelievable. It's such a chashuv olam here. Just have to change the machinery now.